All things Mavs.
Victor Oladipo wants out of Indiana. That is according to The Athletic. And on today's show, I'm going to break down 3 different trades that can put Victor Oladipo in a Dallas Mavericks uniform this offseason. Mavs fans, as always, I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, here on All Things Mavs. And today, we are talking all about the former All-Star, current Indiana Pacer, Victor Oladipo. Now, remember, he did have some injury problems. He tore his quadricep tendon, and that kept him out for most of this year. And it was also kept him out most of last year when he was an All-Star. And now I'm going to talk about, can the Mavs actually make it happen? This was the report from The Athletic, and it was kind of weird because it was just in passing. They were talking about a Gordon Hayward trade and what Boston might do to look to get him to move. And here's what The Athletic said. Indiana is still home for the Haywards, and with Victor Oladipo looking to move on this season, according to sources, and Miles Turner possibly in the same boat, there could be an opportunity for Ainge to move Hayward. So obviously talking about a way to get Oladipo and maybe Miles Turner to the Boston Celtics, but he just randomly throws in there that Victor Oladipo is ready to move on from Indiana, even though he still has a year left on his contract. Now, this past year was not the same Victor Oladipo as we saw in his 2 All-Star years. In 2017-2018, he led that Indiana team to the playoffs, a team that I thought was going to be tanking after trading away Paul George. But he scored 23 points per game, pulled down 5 rebounds, dished out 4 assists, shot the ball really well, and played in 75 games with that Pacers team that would later go on to lose to the Miami Heat, if I'm remembering correctly, in the NBA playoffs. And then last year, before he got injured and only played in those 36 games, he averaged 19 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting the ball still well at 34%. And another great thing about Oladipo is that he's a very strong defender as well. So, could this be the new big 3 in Dallas? You've obviously got Luka, and you obviously have Porzingis. Luka, a bona fide superstar, at least a top 5 player in the NBA by next season. Kristaps Porzingis, when fully healthy, is the perfect pair next to Luka Doncic. He protects the rim well. He's been rebounding the ball well, and he shoots the ball extremely well. Now, you can go out and add that defensive wing and an extra playmaker that you do not have in Victor Oladipo, who, yeah, his numbers were down this year, but it's because he was still coming back from injury. And if we know the Mavs for anything, if you know them for anything at all, it is that their training staff knows how to get players healthy, and Victor Oladipo could be another idea of that. So, before I give you all of my trade ideas, I want you to give me your trade ideas in the comment section below to get Victor Oladipo to Dallas. I already put this on my Twitter, and 100+ people have already responded with their trade ideas. So you guys, the mathematicians, the trade machine gurus, get down in the comment section. Let me know what you would offer for Victor Oladipo and what you would want in return. Now, before I get into my trade scenarios, I've got 3 of them here for you. I want to tell you about a special way you can get these authentic Nike Dallas Mavericks jerseys from Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/Mavs jerseys. They're shipping, Mavs jersey, singular. They're shipping for free for a limited time only. Maybe you want the City Edition Kristaps Porzingis. Maybe you want to get a jersey of the GOAT and Rep Dirk Nowitzki. Whatever you want and whatever jersey you want, it's all shipping for free. Some of these are even 25% off. Not all of them, but some of them are at least 25% off at chatsports.com/Mavs jersey. If you don't have your Luka Doncic jersey already, what are you doing? Go pick yours up today. It's the greatest place to do it over at Fanatics. Now let's get into these trade ideas, and I've got 3 different ones to get Victor Oladipo to Dallas. The first one that I have ready to go is really a bit unrealistic. In fact, I'll say extremely unrealistic, but it is my quote-unquote Mavs-friendly deal. So let's break it down. The Mavs get Victor Oladipo, former All-Star, coming off the injury. They trade Justin Jackson, they trade DeLon Wright, and they trade the 18th overall pick. Now, the only reason this happens, the only way this happens, is if Indiana gets into a pinch, Victor Oladipo's starting to blow up, and he's just saying, I want out, and they can't really get any good things. The only good thing that comes of this is a first-round pick, and then maybe you can finally get something out of Justin Jackson, unlike the Mavs have been able to do these past couple of years. Does this get done? No, absolutely not. But do the Mavs say yes? No, they say hell yes. Because you get rid of 2 guys that really just don't do anything for this team right now. DeLon Wright, 7 points per game, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He wasn't a very efficient defender either. We all thought he was going to be a Patrick Beverly light, and he wasn't that at all. Justin Jackson, 5.5 points per game and 0 assists. Also didn't rebound the ball well and was a very underwhelming 3-point shooter. Field goal percentage was also down at 39.6% from the field as a whole. I thought Justin Jackson would be a starter coming into this year. He was nowhere even close. So would Indiana do this? No, unless there are a lot of picks involved, including the 18th overall pick. So if you're the Mavs, if you're Donnie Nelson, and if you're Mark Cuban, and you have the 18th pick and you have the 31st overall pick, what would you do with them? Would you trade them or would you keep them? You guys make the votes down below. I would trade them for the right player. And the right player I do think would include Victor Oladipo, because let's be honest, Victor Oladipo is better than anything you're going to get at 18 and better than anything you're going to get at 31. Probably. Now, that's obviously a big assumption because you never know what you can find, but more than likely, if you can trade that 18 and 31st overall pick for Victor Oladipo, you do it. So I've got my second trade idea here. This is the Indiana-friendly deal. So this is the deal that really benefits the Pacers much more than it benefits the Mavs. They get Victor Oladipo, they being the Dallas Mavericks, and the Pacers come out with a haul of Dorian Finney-Smith, a.k.a. the Mavs' best defender, and at 27 years old with a great contract is still really nice. Seth Curry, who is probably the best, if not, one of the top 5 best three-point shooters in the NBA this past year, shooting at 45% from three. And they get both the 18th overall pick and the 31st overall pick from the Dallas Mavericks this year. The Mavs only get Oladipo in return, so they lose depth, and they get, a potentially injury-prone guy in return. So now this is what the Pacers look like, and this is why I think they benefit more from this one. You get Brogdon at the point guard position. You have Seth Curry now at the 2. TJ Warren, who we saw explode in the NBA bubble, and Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis in the middle. Dorian Finney-Smith gets added to your bench with a guy like Aaron Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, Doug McDermott, Goga Bitadze, who they just drafted in the first round, plus whoever they get in the first round of this next year's draft, plus whoever they get at the start of the second round of this year's draft. All that combined outweighs what you get in Victor Oladipo, in my opinion, and the biggest key to this trade would be Seth Curry, a guy that I do think, if the Mavs are going to trade for Victor Oladipo, the Pacers would probably ask for in return. This past year, he averaged 12.4 points per game. He pulled down 2.3 rebounds. We all know he's not that great of a rebounder or an assist guy at 1.9 per game, but his three-point percentage was and is elite. 45.2%. His brother Steph Curry's taking notes from the younger brother, Seth Curry, no doubt about that. Now, if Victor Oladipo gets traded to the Mavs, or if there are any Mavs trades that happen, you can bet your bottom dollar we're going to be live here on All Things Mavs for that trade. So you want to do two things. Number one, you want to make sure you subscribe. We've got over 7,000 subscribers right now on All Things Mavs. I'm hoping by the end of the offseason we're at least at 10K, which I think is very possible. And number two, you need to make sure you hit that notification bell, because sometimes, because we post so many videos, you might miss a video. Well, if you hit that bell, you'll get notified every single time we push something out, including any live videos that we might do here on All Things Mavs. Now, I want to go to my final trade idea. This is the one that gets it done. This is the one that I think benefits both teams pretty equally while also being realistic in the same way. The Mavs get their guy in Victor Oladipo. The Pacers get Tim Hardaway Jr., Justin Jackson, DeLon Wright, the 18th pick, and the 31st overall pick. And let me explain why this works for both teams. Obviously, the Mavs want Oladipo. That is the main prize of this trade. The Pacers get something in return for a guy who's probably already going to leave in 1 year anyway. So the Mavs get a chance to do what they did with Kristaps Porzingis, basically make him a 1-year rental but go on and sign him later. They get Tim Hardaway Jr., who keeps him competitive right now. They get Justin Jackson, who can potentially be a project. Same with DeLon Wright. And then you get 2 draft picks. So both teams mutually benefit here. The Mavs have a brand new starting 5 that includes Luka Doncic and Seth Curry in the backcourt. Obviously, Seth gets to stay. He stays as that main three-point shooter option on the floor. You get Victor Oladipo, you put him in, and Rick Carlisle runs his famous 3-guard lineup, and now you have an upgrade defensively over Tim Hardaway Jr. with Victor Oladipo, assuming he's healthy. You also have KP in the middle, Finney-Smith on the bench, or at the 4, Brunson, Burke, a free agent or a draft guy at the wing, Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell off the bench as well. All of these pieces together make for a very fun team. Now, I will say this. If this is the starting 5 the Mavs roll with, you're taking chances. Because you got KP, who's a bit injury-prone. You got Oladipo, who's a bit injury-prone. So why not go all in on these guys? And if they work out, you've got a championship contender. If they don't work out, you might have some issues if they are unhealthy. Now, the Mavs have some other trade chips that I didn't want to include in this trade, because if they were to make a bigger move, it'd have to include somebody like this. Dorian Finney-Smith on really such an incredible contract at 3 years, $4 million. Maxi Kleber, $4 million per year on that contract. Maxi Kleber, 4 years, $35 million. I think a bargain. Producer Sam in the background says we're paying him too much money. You guys can hate on Producer Sam if you want in the comments section. Jalen Brunson obviously has a really nice rookie contract, and he's a proven talent off the bench. Seth Curry, love that deal as well. And DeLon Wright, no, he's not a good player for the Mavs, but I do think in the correct system, he could be a good fit, and his contract is on a declining scale. So as the years go on, the money gets less, which makes him more valuable for other teams to trade for. Now, one reason I don't think the Pacers would say yes to a deal that includes a big man like Maxi Kleber is because they already have two big men that they can barely even figure out how to play together right now. Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis. And I know Mavs fans drool over adding Miles Turner to this team, but I don't think it's very likely. I like Sabonis a lot too, and I would rather have Sabonis than Turner personally, but so would the Pacers, so they're not going to give him up that easy. But because they have these two guys, and they also have Goga Bitadze off the bench, I don't think something that would include Dwight Powell or Maxi Kleber would entice the Pacers to say yes. Now, another reason that I didn't include a guy like Jalen Brunson is because the Pacers already have too many point guards, and there's no reason for the Pacers to say, we'll take your young point guard off your hands along with Tim Hardaway Jr., DeLon Wright, and Justin Jackson, because they have Malcolm Brogdon, who's already playing 31 minutes per game and averaging 17 points. They already have Aaron Holiday off the bench, who's playing 25 minutes per game. They already have TJ McConnell, who I love, actually, at 19 minutes per game. And then Edmund Sumner, who, although he only played in 30 games, in those 30 games, he played 14 minutes. So when you've got a 14-minute per game guy, a 19-minute per game guy, a 25-minute per game guy, and a 31-minute per game guy, all at the point guard position, you're not going to go out and trade for another point guard like Jalen Brunson. So if the Mavs can pull this off, if they can get the right trade chips, if they can get the Pacers to say yes to a deal that includes a Tim Hardaway Jr., a Justin Jackson, some draft picks, would you do it? Do you want Victor Oladipo? Y for yes or in for no? I am all in on the Victor Oladipo train. I say you go all in on the guys that, yes, maybe there are some injury risks involved, but if it pans out, a championship team. Worst case scenario, Victor Oladipo is still a little bit injured, and you're still a top 6, top 7 team in the Western Conference with him on the roster. So why for yes, in for no, let me know. Now, the Mavs aren't the only team interested, so to end this show, I do want to break down the other teams that have some interest in Victor Oladipo. Miami Heat, they want to add another star next to Jimmy Butler, next to Bam Adebayo. Even though they're in the NBA Finals, they can still make some killer moves with the guys they have on their roster. The Brooklyn Nets, they've already stated interest in Oladipo and in Bradley Beal and in Drew Holiday because they want a third guy next to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I don't think they have the pieces to pull it off, but they might just have just as many pieces as the Mavs. The New York Knicks, because, of course, if the guy has the name, he's probably, if he has a heartbeat and he can breathe, the Knicks are probably somewhat interested. And then the Denver Nuggets are another team that I think actually does make a lot of sense for Oladipo. They have the trade chips to make it happen. So I would expect, if Victor Oladipo is moved this offseason, for him to get moved to one of these 5 teams. And wherever he goes, we're going to have it right here for you on All Things Mavs and on Chat Sports. Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.